Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my sincerest obeisances unto everyone. As part of Bhakti Vaibhava assessments, I would like to share presentation 2 based on Canto 3. The topic I have chosen for presentation 2 is ideal family life based on the example of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. I would like to share the PPTs that I have made for this presentation. Ideal family life. These are the PPTs prepared by me. For next 45 to 50 minutes, I will be sharing these PPTs. Presentation 2 based on Canto 3, Ideal Family Life, with the example of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. This is my name, Sharad Chitarkar, and my initiated name is Sharad Bihari Das. I'm initiated disciple of His Holiness Radha Swami, Swami Maharaj. I would like to offer my sincerest obeisances to my spiritual master, and I would like to seek blessings so that I can present this this presentation in the line of Parampara. I offer my sincerest obeisances to all devotees. Vanchakalpatarubhishya kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna-preshthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharini Vishesha Shanadi Pashatini Shitarini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. I seek blessings of my spiritual master, all devotees and Lord Krishna, so that I can present this presentation properly in the line of disciplic succession. For next 45 to 50 minutes. Family life, we all know that family life is the building block of any civilization, society, nation, and the world. It is family in which, where the values are given to children, and as they grow, they behave in society and cultivate knowledge and wisdom, and they are able to be the good part of the society with the values that are given by family. So family is the building block of any civilization, any society. So it is the as everyone knows that it's the family where all things start. As they say that charity begins at home. So first, having having good family life is the basic criteria to create a well society. As family, if families are good, then society can be created well. Families are the building block. Therefore, it's important to have nice families, so that civilization can be developed, and the civilization can be in its proper place. Family life should be based on values, so that there will not be any misbehavior in society. There is one famous saying by Abraham Lincoln that he said that marriage is neither heaven nor hell; it is simply a purgatory. Purgatory meaning of purgatory is place of purification. So essential purpose of family life is purification. That's the reason it is this particular ashrama, family life, Grahastha ashrama, is there Family life is compared to a fortress for practicing sense control. One who is situated in household life and who systematically conquers his mind and five sense organs is like a king in his fortress who conquers his powerful enemies. Family life is a kind of protection to control the senses in a regulated way, and it's like a um, fortress fortress for people living in it, so that they can conquer their powerful enemies like lust, forces of lust, especially after one has been trained in household life and his lusty desires have decreased, then one can move anywhere without danger. So family life provides a kind of it's like a sweet for mind. Senses are controlled and regulated, and then there will not be any havoc in society. So that's the reason there is an importance of family life. When the senses are controlled, one may live either at home or in the forest. There is no difference. If one is living in a family life and but one's senses are controlled and one is living a regulated life based on the shastras, following four regulative principles, chanting the 16 rounds, of holy name, then it can be equal to the person who is renounced and who is living in the forest or something like that. But the purpose of life is not to live in forest or home, but to practice devotional service wherever one is. If one is able to perform very good devotional service by living in family, then that's absolutely precious. The senses are considered very powerful enemies, therefore they need some regulation. As a king in a strong fortress can conquer powerful enemies, in a similar way, householder in the Grahastha Ashrama can conquer lusty desires of youth and be very secure when he takes to Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. So that's the reason this Grahastha Ashrama is there, so that one can have regulated uh, activities and one can purify oneself and move to the next ashramas. The purpose of family life is to advance together in Krishna consciousness and to see every person in the family as part and parcel of Krishna. Ideal family life, we are discussing the topic. Ideal family life means it is the place where Krishna is in the center. Where Krishna is the center of the family, that family it says is no less than a temple or Vaikuntha, maybe. So ideal family life is that in which Krishna is the center of the family. If Krishna is the center of the family, then all the family members see each other as caretakers of each other. That's the most important thing. As if we are keeping Krishna in the center, then our controllership tendency is less, but we are more a caretaker. So when Krishna is the center of the family, then all members in the family see each other as caretakers of each other on behalf of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. There is one famous saying that family that prays together stays together. Those who practice devotional service together, that family stays together. Family that sings or chants together clings together. Family that dances together in kirtan advances together, okay, in Krishna consciousness. That's the very nice saying, that family that prays together stays together. Family that sings together clings together. Family that dances together in kirtan advances together in Krishna consciousness. So we can recognize that how valuable family life is. Okay, it provides an opportunity to grow in Krishna consciousness steadily and live a balanced and regulated life. In family life, one can take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, one can hear the lectures of Guru Maharaj with everyone in the family, and that can be so nourishing to every member, okay, in the family. So ideal family life involves the combination of pleasures and sacrifices. That's the purpose of Grahastha Ashram, is that there should be a balance of pleasure and sacrifices. If there is one thing more than the other, then there is an imbalance, and it can be not so good, considering from the point of spiritual point of view. So that's the reason there should be a balance of pleasure and sacrifices. One has to pay the price of sacrifices for the pleasure one wants in family life. Family that is centered around Krishna can do so much for the world. By advancing together in Krishna consciousness in the family, then that family can be able to do so much for the world. Such families that are centered around Krishna can do so much for the world. They are the ideal examples to the world. Grastashram provides that opportunity that one can be genuinely exemplary and be an instrument of mercy and compassion through whatever one does, and by keeping Krishna in the center. If one is able to keep Krishna in the center, or if one is chanting, reading, hearing lectures of Guru Maharaj and all devotees, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam daily, then that's no less than any temple or any um, any good place. So, but the most important point is that Krishna should be the center, and Krishna should be the very core part of the family. Such families where this praying, chanting, and dancing in kirtan is going on, that families are the most ideal examples from Krishna consciousness point of view. And there can be such families can contribute so much to the world by doing a lot of preaching and preaching to the congregation. So there is always an opportunity to do a lot by being together. So everyone can advance together in Krishna consciousness by creating a large community of devotees. Being ready to pay the prices for pleasure, of course, this is the purpose of Grasthashrama or family life, ideal family life. Ideal family life means, okay, we have to pay the price for pleasures. Happiness in this world is real but temporary. Some people say that happiness in this world is false or something like that. That's not like that, but happiness in this world is real, but it is temporary. Most important thing, the word is temporary, it's temporary. Pleasures in this world comes with prices. Prices means sacrifices. One has to pay the price of sacrifices, okay, for whatever pleasure they want, okay, in this material world. To enjoy the pleasures in this world, one has to pay the price for them. Pleasures in this world don't come free. One has to pay the price for them. The pleasures of this world may be very insignificant and momentary, but they demand huge price for them. But this is the disadvantage of the material pleasures, that the pleasures in this world, that they are very insignificant and momentary, and one has to pay the huge price for them. That's the one of the thing in this material world. To have regulated enjoyment without being unnecessarily disturbed by the urges of sense enjoyment, the Grasthashrama provides the facilitating environment. But that should be ideal family, so that there will be regulated activities. If one is not following 4 regulative principles or chanting 16 rounds in the family, then that is not a grahastha but a grahmedi. So to be a good householder or a grahastha, then one has to practice regulated sense enjoyment without being unnecessarily disturbed by the urges of sense enjoyment. It's like having regulations, some voluntary regulations, and the purpose of life is accepting inconvenience for higher purposes, and austerity means exactly the same. So there should be regulated activities no matter in which one ashrama one is in, for the practice of devotional service. As Grasthashram provides opportunity for regulated sense enjoyment, but still there one has to pay huge price for whatever pleasure they want. So one should be aware that one will have to pay the huge price for whatever insignificant and momentary pleasures. The pleasures of Krishna consciousness is far beyond these pleasures of material world. Mm, uh, mm. But one is if one is unable to control one's senses in other ashrama, then one should. This Grihastha ashram provides the opportunity for regulated sense gratification and practicing Krishna consciousness. So, if one is not able to control one's senses by staying in other ashrama, then for them it's better to marry than burn with the desires for sensual enjoyments. There should not be any hypocrisy in one's actions and one's life. One should not be hypocrite if one is not able to control one's senses in other ashrama. It can be safe for them to get married than burning with the desires for sensual enjoyments. One can satisfy their desires in a regulated way, and then they can make their way for the next progression of their life. So there are four ashramas: brahmacharya ashram, grihastha ashram, vanapastha, and sannyasi ashram. So if one is not able to control one's senses, then one should take to the grihastha life, and then one can have for some time regulated activities, and then one can make progression gradually. So grihastha ashram provides the opportunity for gradual progress. But if one wants a very quick or fast progress in Krishna consciousness, then one can skip the step of this grihastha ashram and can move to the next stages of life. It's not compulsory that one has to go through this grihastha ashram or the phase of this family life. Actually, it can be a trap for an advanced soul to enter into the grihastha ashrama, because one has to pay a huge price for insignificant and momentary pleasures. So therefore, if one can be able to control one's senses if one is serious and sincere in practicing devotional service in the association of devotees and busy in hearing, reading, chanting. There are so many activities in devotional service that one can keep oneself busy with and very positively, and there are great nourishment in Krishna consciousness through reading, hearing, chanting, associating with devotees. If one is having such association of sincere devotees, then actually it's a safe path for them. But if one is not having a good association of devotees, then one can get married, practice regulated sense gratification, and if one gets suitable spouse by the mercy of Lord Krishna, then one can carry on in one's grihastha ashrama. But we are discussing the topic of this ideal family life in which one has to pay the prices for the pleasures they want. This grihastha ashrama provides the opportunity for gradual spiritual progress. That's the nature of this grihastha ashrama. Responsible family life makes society nice. Grihastha ashrama is the civilized way of living and cultured way of living. If one is actually not in a proper ashrama, then it's actually not good. One has to be somewhere, either in grihastha ashrama or brahmacharya or vanapastha sannyasi. One has to be somewhere. So one should not live a life like cats and dogs. So grihastha ashrama is kind of one kind of civilized way of living and cultured way of living. Responsible family life makes society nice. Grihastha ashrama provides opportunity to be responsible, and responsible family life makes society nice. Grihastha ashrama means Krishna is the center of married life. This is the most important family point. For ideal family life, Krishna should be the center of married life. Family can only be said to be ideal if Krishna is the center of the family. To please Krishna is the goal of all varnas and ashramas, no matter which varna or which ashrama one is. The goal is to please Krishna. Without the goal of pleasing Krishna, everything becomes meaningless. So the role of Grihastha Ashrama is to take care of family and society by keeping Krishna in the center. The phase of Grihastha Ashrama helps in gradual spiritual progress. This Grihastha Ashrama provides the opportunity for gradual spiritual progress, but if one is having more developed consciousness and more awakened consciousness, then one doesn't have to go through this phase. But if one is struggling with one's senses and mind, then one has to take the path of Grihastha Ashrama so that one can fulfill one's desires in Grihastha Ashrama and gradually progress in Krishna consciousness, and then after sufficient time and with sufficient realizations, then one can move to the next phase of life. So this Grihastha Ashrama provides the opportunity for gradual spiritual progress. Ideal family life is the place where there is Krishna in the center. So that's the most important thing, that one has to keep Krishna in the center to make one's family ideal and to make one's family life ideal. Grihastha Ashram provides the opportunity for practicing peaceful Krishna consciousness. Ideal family life means practicing peaceful Krishna consciousness. Ideal family life provides opportunity for regulated sense gratification, but ultimately the aim should be for the purpose of pleasing Krishna. Grihastha Ashrama is a staircase to go higher. Grihastha Ashrama is a gradual staircase to go higher. It's not like a jump, but it's a staircase. So it's a gradual process. Grihastha Ashrama provides a gradual staircase to go higher. It's a gradual progression of independence. So one can think in that way. So if one is having the opportunity to take to the Grihastha Ashrama and live a balanced life with practicing Krishna consciousness, peaceful Krishna consciousness, then one should take to this path, and one can have an opportunity to make gradual spiritual progress, as it offers a staircase to go higher. Grihastha Ashrama is a sweet for disturbing mind. As mind has the tendency to think about the means unnecessary topics or disturbing thoughts, or mind. The nature of mind is to means divert oneself from spiritual activities and think about sense gratification and like that. So for that, Grihastha Ashrama is a sweet for disturbing mind, so that it can take the one can take the sweet and be happy, so that one can practice peaceful Krishna consciousness. So this means taking sweet means having regulated sense gratification with, and then one can be peaceful in one's mind and senses, and then one will be able to practice peaceful Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, if one is in the renounced order and if one is thinking about sense gratification, that's not going to be more fruitful. But if one is in Krishna consciousness, practicing regulated activities and practicing Krishna consciousness, then that's more powerful than being a hypocrite. Grihastha Ashrama makes mind peaceful, and this helps to understand the realities of life and also helps in self-realization. It gives one time to make gradual progress, and it makes mind peaceful, and this helps one to understand the realities of life, and also it helps in self-realization. Grihastha Ashrama provides opportunity to grow together gradually instead of being lost, disoriented, or haphazard, or behaving whimsically with unregulated mind and senses. Ideal family life means having an opportunity to grow together in Krishna consciousness instead of wandering or living life like cats and hogs and dogs, or being lost or disoriented or haphazard, or behaving whimsically and unorganized in an unorganized way, with unregulated mind and senses, then that's very dangerous, and it's not suitable for gradual progress in spiritual life. Therefore, it's better to marry for such people who are not able to control their senses than to create a havoc in society by unfulfilled sensual desires. So better, Srila Prabhupada advises that better get married, have regulated sense gratification for some time, and then make a gradual progress in Krishna consciousness by building your family in Krishna consciousness. And that can be the that way one can create ideal family life, and one will be able to practice peaceful Krishna consciousness, and then one can set the right standard in society. Gradual spiritual progress is the main theme of ideal family life. Making spiritual ideals foundation of relationship is the most important thing in the Grahastha ashram. That's the most important part of ideal family life, is making spiritual ideals foundation of relationship. Making spiritual ideals foundation of relationship is the basis of ideal family life. Ideal family life is based on the concept of having spiritual ideals as a foundation of a relationship with everyone in the family. Means seeing each other as a part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Those who stay in the family life and take shelter of Krishna, that is called ideal family life. That is Grahastha Ashrama. Those who stay in the family life and take shelter of Krishna, that is called ideal family life. Means it's very important to keep Krishna in the center, even if one is in the family life. Then that family can be ideal, said to be an ideal family. That is Grahastha Ashrama. When spiritual ideals form the foundation of a relationship, then relationship can survive no matter whatever the challenges may be. This is the quote by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, that when spiritual ideals are the foundation of a family, then that family can be ideal, and those relationships can survive no matter whatever the challenges may be, because one will be seeing each other as part and parcel of Krishna. Then there will be more cooperation. Ideal family life is that in which, okay, the family members inspire one another, okay, to be Krishna conscious and helps one another in progressing in Krishna consciousness. That's the definition of ideal family life. That ideal family life is that in which family members inspire one another to be Krishna conscious and helps one another in progressing in Krishna consciousness. That's the ideal family life. So one has to inspire each other in the family life, and one has to help each other, nourish each other, inspire each other. Ideal family life is that in which everyone sees one another as a part and parcel of Krishna, and everyone chants the holy names of Krishna. This can also be a part of definition of family life. Ideal family life. Ideal family life is a place where everyone cares for each other with patience, tolerance, and humility. Ideal family life is that in which everyone cares for one another with patience, tolerance, and humility. And this is what it means to walk a spiritual path. This is the very important point, as there can be issues in family, and one has to cultivate patience, tolerance, and humility so that one can cooperate with each other. Everyone can cooperate with each other, and everyone will be living as a caretaker of each other. This is what ideal family life means. Ideal family is that in which everyone cares for one another with patience, tolerance, and humility. And this is what it means to walk a spiritual path. Caring for each other with patience, tolerance, and humility is what it means to walk a spiritual path. So all family members should keep this in mind, that to create an ideal family life, they have to live with each other with patience, tolerance, and humility. If members of a family see each other as a beloved child of God, sent for our spiritual upliftment, that makes family life ideal. Seeing each other as part and parcel of Krishna, and seeing a particular person as a beloved child of God, sent for our spiritual upliftment, that can make any family ideal. Ideal family life means to maintain and uplift each other. That's the meaning of ideal family life. Maintaining and uplifting each other. That's also a purpose of married life, to maintain and uplift each other. In ideal family, everyone respects, encourages, appreciates, tolerates, and celebrates each other for a higher purpose of pleasing Krishna. This is very important, that principle of respect, encouragement, appreciation, tolerance, and celebrating each other's success, and empathizing with each other, okay, in the times of trouble. This this marks the maturity in the family, among the people in the family, and there should be some higher purpose of pleasing. There should be a substantial higher purpose of pleasing Krishna, so that one will be able to face everything, and one will be able to keep progressing. In ideal family life, everyone respects, encourages, appreciates, tolerates, and celebrates each other for higher purpose of pleasing Krishna. Family members should understand the principles of when competition turns to contribution, life becomes celebration. This is very important. Instead of competing with each other, but everyone is seeing in the spirit of contribution, then that contribution can lead to a celebration. And when competition turns to contribution, life becomes celebration, and then that family can be the most ideal family. So ideal family life means caring for each other with patience, tolerance, and humility, respecting each other, appreciating each other, tolerating each other, encouraging each other, and celebrating each other, and empathizing with each other. It's like being para dukha dukhi and para sukha sukhi and sarve sukhino bhavantu. One should rejoice in the happiness of others, and one should feel for the sufferings of others, and one should think that sarve sukhino bhavantu, let there be happiness for all. Then there can be a lot of joint families, and that can be an most ideal example. Srila Prabhupada has created a society in which everyone can take part, and everyone can make their life sublime by taking to the process of Krishna consciousness. And even if one is in a family life, one will be able to make substantial progress if one is taking the shelter of Srila Prabhupada's books and following the teachings he has given through his books, through his disciples, and through all devotees. Next point we'll be seeing is using all assets for higher purposes. This is the most important purpose of ideal family life. Use of sexual energy in ideal family life is for procreation of Krishna conscious children. That is, using sexual energy for connection, regulated pleasure, creativity, vitality, and extended life, Krishna conscious children, society, and the world. That's the purpose of people in ideal family, that they use their sexual energy for connection, regulated pleasure, creativity, vitality, and extended life. Extended life means Krishna conscious children, society, and the world. Ideal grihasthas are responsible for the protection of women, children, cows, brahmanas, and the older people in the society. That marks the very important trait of ideal family, that ideal family takes care and is responsible for the protection of women, children, cows, brahmanas, and older people in this society. Ideal grahasthas, ideal family members, are responsible for taking care of the people in the renounced order. They donate some charity for the well-being of the people in the renounced order of life. They support the temple activities and they earn with integrity and spend with compassion. Ideal family members make a lot by legitimate means to share a lot. Ideal grahasthas help in preaching Krishna consciousness by using their talents, skills, abilities, resources, and all the assets they have without becoming proud or attached. They do all these things without any attachment or arrogance. That's the purpose of ideal family, to use all assets for higher purposes. The people in the ideal family use all their talents, skills, resources, abilities in spirit of service to God and humanity without attachment and arrogance. That's also the purpose of Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, we do not reject anything. We use everything. Talents, resources, skills, abilities in spirit of service to God and humanity without attachment and arrogance. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also advised to the people in the Grihastha to have regulated life in the family life and to make a lot and so that one can share a lot. That's the purpose of family life. Ideal family life is able to practice Krishna consciousness and preach Krishna consciousness by using their all assets, talents, skills, abilities, and resources, and they are not proud, and they do all this without attachment and arrogance. The purpose of ideal family life is living by values and leading by example. Ideal family life involves taking care of each other's physical, emotional, and spiritual needs. This is the most important thing, that the members in the ideal family take care of each other with other physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Ideal family life involves living peacefully with affection. It means living by moral values. It involves giving back to society. Ideal family life means living by values, loving by acceptance, leading by example, and living a healthy legacy to inspire each other and to also future generations. Ideal family life involves everyone doing justice to their roles, routines, relationships, and responsibilities. These four are very important. Ideal family life means doing justice to one's roles, routines, relationships, and responsibilities. Ideal family life means to not be irresponsible in the name of being detached. In ideal family, castes are treated as good as God. In ideal family, especially, four members are valued so much. Parents, caste, and spiritual master. These four persons are the most important part of any family. That Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Atithi Devo Bhava, Guru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. So these four principles should be, it's another trait of an ideal family, that they serve their guests with lot of responsibility and enthusiasm, and they treat their guests as good as God. That's the trait of a ideal family. And ideal family life means living with affection, living by values, leading by example, living by accepting each other, and living a healthy legacy for future generations, and doing justice to our roles, routines, relationships, and responsibilities. Ideal family life means doing our best and living rest to Krishna, And it also means that not being irresponsible in the name of being detached, expecting expecting to perform one's best, and then expecting or living rest of it to God. That can be the great policy or great trait of a ideal family, like doing one's best and living rest to God. Being driven by guiding principles is the most important part of ideal family. In ideal family, good values are passed to children. In ideal family, there is harmony in the family. In ideal family, everyone sticks together throughout, throughout, and throughout life, caring, mutually understanding, uplifting, encouraging, and being well-wisher of each other. Everyone sticks together with caring, mutually understanding, uplifting, encouraging, and being well-wisher of each other. Grahastha Ashrama, ideal family, produces, supports, and maintains other ashramas. In ideal family, when they come together, they discuss about Krishna's name, form, pastimes, and qualities. This is very important. They don't do idle gossip. They discuss about Krishna's name, form, pastimes, and qualities. Wherever pure devotees come together, they discuss about Krishna's name, form, pastimes, and qualities. They don't have time to discuss about the dogma and gossips and fault finding and all that. They don't have time for all those stuff. Okay, but they always cherish Krishna's name, form, pastimes, and qualities. They would like to read together, hear together, chant together, discuss together about Krishna, and share the pastimes of Krishna with each other, share the qualities of Krishna with each other, share the qualities of devotees with each other. They discuss about Krishna and they discuss from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. That's the purpose of people in the ideal family, and that's what the people in the ideal family do. Grahastha Ashram produces, supports, and maintains other ashramas. Grahastha Ashrama is the only place where one can earn money. All other ashramas are dependent on the Grahastha Ashrama. Grahastha Ashrama has a responsibility to produce, support, and maintain other ashramas. Produce in the sense producing Krishna conscious children, supporting brahmacharis, sannyasis, and maintaining ashramas, maintaining those ashramas. An ideal family life, okay, where when they come together, they discuss about Krishna's name, form, pastimes, and qualities. Three guiding principles of an ideal family are Namaruchi, Vaishnav Seva, and Jivadaya. These are the most important part. These are the goals of ideal family. These are the goals. These should be the goals of any family that wants to be ideal, and one cannot be one's family cannot be ideal if these three things are not the part of that family. Namaruchi, Vaishnav Seva, and Jivadaya. This is the mission of Krishna consciousness, to develop Namaruchi, Vaishnav Seva, and Jivadaya. This is very important. To develop Namaruchi by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Then when one develops the Namaruchi, then one will be having an opportunity to do Vaishnav Seva. As Namaruchi, through Namaruchi, we get the opportunity to do service of the Vaishnavas. As in the Namaruchi, we pray to the holy name for the service. The purpose of Hare Krishna mantra is, "Oh Radharani, please engage me in the loving service of your beloved Krishna." And serving Krishna and serving Vaishnavas is almost very much same, or even Krishna likes that Krishna glorifies serving Vaishnavas more than serving him. So as we serve Vaishnavas, we are able to please Krishna. So by Namaruchi, we are able to develop Vaishnav Seva. We get the opportunity to do Vaishnav Seva, and when we do Vaishnav Seva, Krishna gets pleased, and then the compassion in her heart is awakened for the people in this world, Jivadaya. And that compassion is the most important part of preaching. We cannot preach without compassion. We have to have compassion for the people in this world so that they can be delivered from this material world. And then only we can we should have the concern for people in this material world. Then we will be able to show compassion, be an instrument of compassion to them. So these are the most important principles of any ideal family. Namruchi, Vaishnav Seva and Jivadaya. Developing the taste for holy name, serving Vaishnavas with gratitude, with sincerity, and having compassion for the people in this world, being an instrument of Lord's mercy, being an instrument of spiritual master's mercy, being an instrument of grace to the people in this world. This is the very important part of ideal family. What it means to be an ideal grahastha, or what it means exactly, ideal family life. Ideal family life or ideal grahastha. This is the acronym grahastha. On the basis of that, these few thoughts are prepared. G stands for being grateful to each other, family, society, Guru Maharaj, and Krishna. Means to all the conflicts in the family, the Grahastha should live by these values. To all the conflicts in husband, wife, and to all any conflicts in the family, or this can help anyone, not just for the purpose of having ideal family, but ideal family life. In ideal family life, people are driven by these particular values. G stands for being grateful to each other, family, society, Guru Maharaj, and Krishna. Gratitude is the first thing. Then being respectful to each other. R stands for respect and being respectful to each other. I means maintaining integrity, living by principles, walking the talk, and vice versa, walking the talk and talking the walk. These things are very important. Actually, one should be a living and walking and talking Bhagavatam in the family life. There cannot be any greater ideal family than that, being walking and talking Bhagavatam. So once there are two types of Bhagavatam, person Bhagavatam and book Bhagavatam. So in the ideal family, people are very much always discussing Bhagavatam. So they should be like a walking and talking Bhagavatam. They should be person Bhagavatam. As much as benefit one derives from book Bhagavatam, one should derive that much benefit by associating with them. They should be like a book Bhagavatam or person Bhagavatam. So that can be the another highest level in the ideal family. I stands for maintaining integrity, living by principles, walking the talk, and vice versa. H stands for being humble than a blade of grass. A stands for assisting each other in all services. S stands for serving each other with love, affection, and grace. T stands for tolerating the differences for a higher cause of pleasing Krishna, caring for each other with patience, tolerance, and humility, tolerating the differences for a higher cause of pleasing Krishna, respecting each other, encouraging each other, appreciating each other, tolerating each other, celebrating each other, empathizing with each other. These all things are very important part of ideal family. H stands for being honest with each other. A means appreciating each other, saying thank you and living by that thank you. These are some core guidelines, okay, for being an ideal grahastha, that keeping gratitude, respect, integrity, humility, assisting each other, serving each other, tolerating the differences, and honesty and appreciation in the center. Then one can be an ideal grahastha and contribute so much to the world. Doing justice to roles and responsibilities is the most important part of ideal family life. In ideal family life, husband is protector, provider, and guide, spiritually advanced, and wife is a chaste and submissive to the spiritually advanced husband. Both husband and wife do justice to their roles and responsibilities. This is very important, that husband should be a protector, provider, and guide. A guide means he has to be spiritually advanced, and wife should be chaste and submissive to the spiritually advanced husband. Then both husband and wife, okay, will be able to do justice to their roles and responsibilities, and that can be that can lead to an ideal family. Protection is on 3 levels: physical, body, emotional, mind, and spiritual soul. Being provider means supplying the basic necessities of household life, and being guide means husband should be spiritually advanced so as to train wife and children in Krishna consciousness. As an ideal grahastha, both husband and wife should earn material prosperity as well as spiritual prosperity, as advised by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told, okay, to people in the grahastha ashrama to earn material prosperity as well as spiritual prosperity. So both should be keeping that target. That makes family life ideal and pleasing to Krishna and Guru Maharaj. Just like disciple follows in the footsteps of the spiritual master, similarly, chaste wife follows in the footsteps of the spiritually advanced husband. Then that can be a perfection. Assisting each other in preaching activities. Both husband and wife should assist each other in preaching activities. In ideal family life, husband and wife combines together as a one unit to serve and preach the message of Krishna consciousness in an exemplary way. Both assist each other in preaching activities and are focused upon developing Namaruchi, test in chanting the holy names of Lord Krishna, Vaishnav Seva, serving Vaishnavas, and Jivadaya, extending Krishna conscious compassion to the people in general. That's the very important part of husband and wife, okay, that they are having the goals of Namruchi Vaishnava Seva and Jivadaya. Being part of an annual Kartik Yatra in association with Guru Maharaj also and devotees also helps family members to develop and uplift their Krishna consciousness in very favorable way, and they also get to learn so much in the association of devotees from all over the world. So the Kartik Yatra also forms the very important part of being an ideal family, having an ideal family life, because devotees get opportunity to associate with so many devotees from all over the world. So yes, the people in the people in family should also take advantage of Kartik Yatra, and they should develop friendship with devotees, and they develop their Krishna consciousness in Yatra by giving some dedicated time for practicing Krishna consciousness. And by this way, both can be nourished in the association of devotees, and both can contribute more in preaching activities. Creating a progeny as a service to Krishna, this is the one of the most important service in Grasthashrama. As we are taking the example of Kardama Muni and Devotee, they have really lived this ideal life, ideal family life. That represents the ideal family life. Whatever we have discussed till now, all those qualities are perfectly in these two persons, perfectly exhibited by these two persons, Kardama Muni and Devotee. They represents the ideal family life. When asked by a curious Vidura, Maitreya described the descendants of Devotee who was married to Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni's desire to get a suitable wife was not for his sense enjoyment, but fulfill the instruction of Dhamma to create a progeny, which was in turn service to Krishna. After having some children, Kardama wished to retire from active family life and dedicate himself completely to Bhakti. This is ideal family life. After completing one's responsibilities in the family life, then one can take to the next process, that is progression of independence. Making way for progression of independence is important, and that's what Kardama Muni did. That he lived very exemplarily, fulfilled all desires of devotee, gave children to her, gave 9 daughters, and produced a very wonderful son, Lord Kapila, who instructed devotee in Krishna consciousness, and she also attained perfection. So this Kardama Muni and devotee truly represents our ideal family life. And one can take the examples from them. As Kardama Muni has completely exhibited renunciation after completing family responsibilities, and the devotee of chaste wife. So both have been very ideal and exemplary. An advanced devotee may circumstantially desire a temporary object, but it is only for specific service for Lord's satisfaction. Kardama Muni decided to marry for the purpose of satisfying or fulfilling the instruction of Brahma to create a progeny, which was in turn service to Krishna. And this creating a progeny as a service to Krishna is the most important service of the ideal family. Keeping the society sane and secure by mutual respect and cooperation. As foretold by Lord, Swambhav Manu came along with his wife Satrupa and a marriageable daughter and devotee to the hermitage of Kardama Muni and Bindu Sarabha. Kardama received Manu with due honor and extolled the glories of king, who embodies the protective energy of Lord Hari. Feeling modest, Swambhav Manu glorified Manu glorified Kardama in return, describing the glories of Brahmanas. who preserves the Vedic knowledge by propagating it. Kardama Muni was a Grastha and Kardama Muni was a Brahmana and Devotee was a devotee of the Kshatriya, so Kadama Muni was advanced in his varna. So Kadama Muni's and devotees' marriage was suitable. Mutual respect and cooperation between the qualified Brahmanas and the qualified Kshatriyas, the natural leaders of society, keeps the society sane and secure. That was the cooperation between Kadama Muni and Manu, Sambhav Manu. So this cooperation between Brahmanas and Kshatriyas is good for the society, as both are in the natural leaders of the society. So if they are in proper cooperation, then they can keep society sane and secure. Prioritizing spiritual life. Kadama Muni always prioritized the spiritual life, and after having the marriage of Devotee with Kadama Muni, Swambhu Muni and Satyrupa conducted the marriage of Devotee and Kadama Manu. They led a very Krishna conscious life despite possessing great material opulence. Even though Swambhu Muni and Satyrupa had a great material opulence, but as soon as the marriage of Devotee happened, being a saintly king, he heard Krishna Katha daily. Swambhu Manu heard Krishna Katha daily and chanted Lord's pastimes. In Manu's long life of Manvantara, he didn't experience material miseries as he took exclusive shelter of the Lord. Okay, as Swambhu Manu took the complete shelter of the Lord, he haven't experienced any misery in his life because of the exclusive shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Exalted devotees prioritize spiritual life above all, although they attend to the social and family duties very responsibly. Miseries exist even in the lives of devotees, but they are unaffected due to their absorption in Krishna Katha. That was Swambhu represented, that there were miseries in his life, but he was so much absorbed in Krishna Katha, therefore all those miseries were insignificant and he felt unaffected by them. Being favorably disposed toward husband, devotee was favorably disposed toward the husband. She rendered service to her husband with favorable disposition, by having well-disposed behavior towards husband's relatives, that Kadama Muni's relatives, and she followed the vows of her husband. And these are the four principles to be followed by women, described as chaste, and devotee was completely chaste. Shyness is an important for women, okay, as it is recommended by Bhishma Deva. Chaste, shy, modest, grateful, pleasant, Krishna conscious, graceful and encouraging wife is an inspiration for spiritually advanced and dutiful husband like Kardama Muni. Chanakya Pandit gives a very valuable instruction: when there are no fights between husband and wife, the goddess of fortune automatically comes to the home. Woman's education should be conducted along the lines indicated in this verse. That's very important thing. The ideal family life is in which there are no fights between husband and wife, and then automatically goddess of fortune comes to their home. And chaste wife and spiritually advanced husband makes a perfect combination for being an ideal family, and that's what Devotee and Kadama Muni odds. For favorable practice of devotional service, having means such chaste wife like Devotee and being spiritually advanced like Kardama Muni makes a perfect combination for being an ideal family life. Ideal family life means chaste wife and spiritually advanced husband. In ideal family, a chaste wife and a spiritually advanced husband makes the perfect combination. Devotee odds chaste and Kardama Muni odds perfectly or spiritually advanced. Therefore, their combination was auspicious and their combination was very suitable for advancement in Krishna consciousness. And that makes the perfect combination, having chaste wife and spiritually advanced husband. Wife's chastity and husband's being spiritually advanced is fundamental for an ideal family life. Kardama Muni and Devotee represented that. Devotee was a chaste lady. She served her husband, Kardama Muni, with great love, affection, respect, intimacy, sweet words, diligence, and purity of her body and mind. She had no lust, pride, envy, greed, or vanity, or any pride because of being from Kshatriya family or from a family of opulent king like that. But she had no lust, pride, envy, greed, or any kind of pride. She was chaste and she served her husband Kadama Muni with great love, respect, intimacy, sweet words, diligence, and purity of body and mind. Deriving inspiration from the ideal example of devotee, a disciple also must render service to one's guru in this way. Devotee represents ideal example, and disciple should also render service to one's Guru in this way. Producing Krishna consciousness children is sacred. Because of devotees' constant service, she grew weak and emaciated. She grew very thin because of her constant service to her husband. Kardama Muni felt compassion seeing her, and Kardama Muni bestowed upon her all the divine blessings he had received by performing bhakti that could make one free from all fear and lamentation. A chaste wife disciple naturally becomes entitled for spiritual blessings by one's dedicated service to a Vaishnava husband. Disciple naturally becomes entitled for spiritual master's blessings by his dedicated service to Guru Maharaj. In the same way, similarly, a chaste wife naturally becomes entitled for spiritual blessings by one's dedicated service to a Vaishnava husband. Childbearing is indeed the most fulfilling attribute for a chaste woman. Devotee desire to bear child through Kardama Muni. Sex life which is in harmony with religious principles and for producing good children, Krishna conscious children is not different from God. This is what Krishna had said in Bhagavad Gita, that sex life which is in harmony with religious principles and for producing Krishna conscious children is not different from God. Krishna says that I am the sex which is not contrary to religious principles. So that's the purpose of sex life is to produce Krishna conscious children. Any sex other than for the purpose of procreation of Krishna conscious children is illicit sex, and that is condemned by Srila Prabhupada, and that is also the principle of our movement, that no illicit sex. Sex is allowed, but the purpose of sex is producing Krishna conscious children. Sex life which is in harmony with religious principles and for producing good children is not different from God. Actually, that is the greatest service, and producing Krishna conscious children is the sacred duty, husband and wife. That's the purpose of sexual energy. Otherwise, sexual energy should be utilized for connection, pleasure, creativity, vitality, and life, extended life. That's the purpose of sexual life: connection, pleasure, creativity, vitality, and extended life, producing Krishna conscious children and sharing the message of Krishna consciousness with the world. Nothing is impossible for devotees. Kardama Muni, nothing was impossible for him because he practice of devotional service, he has attained a lot of mystic powers, and desiring to please his wife, Kardama Muni by his mystic power created an aerial mansion that could travel at his will. He also arranged to restore the beauty of its emaciated wife in the Bindu Saravara lake through 1,000 young girls who served her. Kardama Muni achieved such powers because of his being a devotee and not because of his proficiency in yoga. Kadama and devotee both traveled in that airplane to various pleasure spots in the universe. Delighting devotee, Kadama enjoyed for many years that passed just like a moment. That's what happens in Grasthashrama, that one goes on enjoying in Grasthashrama for a long period of time and one doesn't even realize also. But Kardama Muni and devotee, their purpose of sense gratification or sense enjoyment was not sense enjoyment, but that was actually a service for producing Krishna conscious children. Although seemingly enjoying in this way, Kadama did not lose his glory as a self-controlled person. He was still so much self-controlled. He divided himself into 9 forms and impregnated devotee. Kadama fulfilled his promise of impregnating her. After showing the globe of the universe and its variegated features full of many wonders to devotee, Kadama returned to his ashrama. Being responsible yet detached, this is what exemplified by Kadama Muni and devotee. Devotee gave birth to 9 beautiful daughters. Having fulfilled its promise of offering offspring to devotee, Kadama decided to leave home to pursue its real concern of spiritual perfection. Devotee asked Kadama to bestow her a son who could protect her after Kadama's retirement and marriage of her daughters, and also spiritually enlighten her. This desire of devotee was already ordained by the Lord Vishnu, who had promised to Kadama that he would appear as his son. So Kadama Muni was an example of being responsible and detached. No, it's responsible and detached. That's what means practicing devotional service, being responsible and detached, doing our best, living rest to Krishna. Brahma glorifies Kadama and devotee and predicts the future activities of Lord Kapila. Eventually, Lord Kapila appeared from Lord Devothi's whom all the demigods and celestial beings celebrated this event. Brahma appeared and predicted the future qualities of and activities of Lord Kapila, who would enunciate the Sankhya philosophy. Brahma praised Kardama Muni for following his instructions without duplicity and respect. Brahma praised the chastity of 9 daughters of Kardama and Devoti. Brahma blessed Devoti that his son will cut the knots of her ignorance and then will travel all over the world and increase her fame. Thus, blessing them, Brahma left, and Kardama got his 9 daughters married to 9 sages. Kardama took care of their daughters and sons-in-law for some time, and then they happily departed to their ashrams. Later, Kardama approached Lord Kapila Dev, offered his prayers and requested permission to take to renunciation. Although the Lord was directly present as his son in his own house, Kardama planned to leave home because he was accustomed to the mood of being a servant of the Lord and not as a father. Contributing to a favorable development of children. In ideal family life, children are given favorable Krishna conscious atmosphere in which training of a boy is in celibacy and training of a girl is being chaste and expert in cooking along with their regular school and college education. Upbringing of children in ideal family life is with love and affection. The hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. Dreams of parents, children's upbringing, their friends, association of their children, their free will of children, and ultimately God's grace plays the important role in determining the development of children in ideal family life. Krishna consciousness is nurtured in children from the early childhood as per advice of Prahlad Maharaj. The inspiring stories of Prahlad, Dhruva, Parikshit and Shivaji Maharaj helps children to cultivate Krishna consciousness from the early childhood. Spiritually trained children become responsible and worthy adults as they behave maturely and by anticipating what their parents and well-wishers want them to be. That's what it means to be a worthy son, by being anticipating what one's parents want and becoming that. Spiritually trained children become the great assets to the family and society, raised in favorable Krishna conscious atmosphere and with balancing affection and intimacy, balancing love and balancing practicality. Balancing love with practicality, balancing affection with efficiency, balancing compassion with strictness helps parents to create very well-trained children. Contributing to a favorable development of children is the important part of ideal family life. Attaining spiritual perfection at right time. Kardama Muni's renunciation at right time is also to set the right example of Vedic injunction, so that one should give up family life and homely life at certain age to dedicatedly pursue spiritual perfection for the remainder of one's life. After attaining, fulfilling all the responsibilities of household life, then one can move on to the next stage, that is progression of independence. Kardama Muni had did exactly that. That's the reason Kardama Muni is the ideal grahastha, ideal family life. The greatest example of ideal family life is Kardama Muni. Lord Kapila gladly blessed Kardama, promising him that he would enlighten Devoti and enable her to attain perfection too. Kardama at once left for the forest, and Kapila stayed at Bindusaravara to please his mother. Ideal family life is centered on Krishna consciousness. Eventually, Devoti also attained perfection by the guidance of her son, Lord Kapila, and then that Lord Kapila also left for preaching all over the world, and that led to the perfection of everyone. Ideal family life is centered on Krishna consciousness and culminates in renunciation and spiritual perfection. This is what the most important thought that Kardama Muni represents, that ideal family life is centered on Krishna consciousness and culminates in renunciation and spiritual perfection. I would like to thank you all for an opportunity to present this presentation. I'm extremely grateful. I hope that the important message has got conveyed. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.